The Mount Rushmore series is back for the MLB edition. Carl Coulage for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Thank you for joining me. I know you guys enjoyed the NFL. So Greg Polius, who's our baseball advocate, in my ear, he's like, wait a minute, football's getting 8 episodes? That means baseball's got to get 9. And I'm like, all right, well, let's do it. Let me introduce my contributors. Greg Polius is in the building. Greg, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Good. We have Chuck. Chuck is in the building. Chuck, what's up, man?
Not much, Carl. I'm just happy that the sport is actually back and they're playing.
And we have TK the Tank. He's not talking football or pro wrestling. Now he's talking baseball. TK, how you doing?
Great to be here, Carl. Thanks for having me.
For the first time in Hit List history, we have Greg's younger brother on the segment. We have Steffon Polius. Steph, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
So let me explain the rules for those who don't know. Each member of the panel will get 4 picks. And then after they get their 4 picks, they get to pick one person off their list to basically make the ultimate hit list list. We're covering the outfield position. When I addressed it with Greg, Greg suggested instead of doing each individual outfield, we can just group it all and just do one for the outfield. So Steph is the rookie. Let me give him the floor first. Let me give him, who are your 4 picks?
All right. Cool. So my 4 picks, let me just roll it out. Like, I'll name it or like go through because I got my little.
You can give us a brief description of why that person made your list.
All right. So Ken Griffey Jr., I'm just going to start with that. I feel like everyone can agree, like, obviously, the man's just a talent. You know, you have an illustrious career, even though it's filled with injuries. You know, 630 home runs, right? And when I was looking at kind of like how it can, like how that compared to everyone else, to give you a comparison, you have Willie Mays, who's also on my list, is 660, right? Second most, with 12,497 plate appearances. When you have Ken Griffey with 11,304 plate appearances, 1,193 plate appearances difference, and it's only 30 home runs, which was absurd to me. So he definitely makes the list. Like I said earlier, Willie Mays is on there. Amazing talent as well for the offenses, defenses. I mean, same thing with Ken Griffey, the Golden Gloves there. Every one of these guys, Golden Gloves that I have. Willie Mays. I got Roberto Clemente. Solid defender, all-around player, really. I mean, one thing that stuck out to me was the outfield assists. He had 266 in his career, his 18-year career, which puts him 17th overall in MLB history, which is absurd. And to round out my list was Ichiro Suzuki. And I don't know how that goes with the crowd and how they feel, but to me, Ichiro, a man who entered the MLB at 27 years old, right, and went on to play 19 seasons, was phenomenal. Defensively, offensively, the man just hit, flat out hit, and he was a stud defender. Just one thing to note about him, though, is he batted 372 one season, right? I want to say it was his 4th or 5th season in the league. 372, 262 hits, right? At age 30, actually 2004 he did that. Absurd. You wouldn't even think about that. Almost 300 hits in the season. So Ichiro is easy make for the Mount Rushmore for me and rounds out on my number 4.
All right, so we have Ken Griffey, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and Ichiro. So let's go to Chuck. Chuck, who cracks your list? You're on the clock.
All right, Carl, this was tough. And it's tough because you basically put 3 positions into one.
You can thank Greg for that. That's not me. I asked him. Thank Greg.
Yep, I'll take full responsibility for that one.
It's funny because when Carl, said that I was going to be on and the outfields, I was saying in my head, oh, that's simple. You could put Junior, you could put Hank Aaron, Bonds, Ruth, and then I started going through names and I was like, oh wait, what about Ted Williams? What about Mickey Mantle? What about Ty Cobb? Like the list just goes on and on. So I actually shortened it to 10 names. And I was sitting here going back and forth over the 4. So the first one has to be Ruth. And I picked Babe Ruth because he is the definition of baseball. I think he's the reason why baseball is what it is today. He was like your first superstar in a way. So I definitely got to put Babe Ruth. He had the most home runs for a very long period of time, especially in an era, where nobody really hit home runs. He hit over 700 of them. and that record wasn't broken until Bonds did it, in the 2000s. So I got to go with Ruth. Second, I got to go with Willie Mays, probably one of the best two-way outfielders of all time. Phenomenal talent, just like how Steffon said. Now, third and fourth was tough. I didn't know, who to give that extra push to. So for three, I'm going to say Ted Williams. I think he was just phenomenal with the bat. I think he was the last player ever to bat 400 in a season. Just absurd. I think he finished with like a 380 career batting average, just nuts. And it's tough to say, being that I'm a Yankee fan watching. Well, I didn't get to watch him, but to give compliments to a Red Sox player. And then the last one, it was a toss-up between Mantle and Hank Aaron. And just being a Yankee fan, knowing the history of Mantle and knowing that he blew out his knee his rookie year, and that gave him problems throughout the rest of his career. I got to give that slight edge to Hank Aaron. Phenomenal talent as well. Just an all-around terrific guy. Honestly, anyone that you pick on this list, I really don't think there are any wrong answers. So I'm going to go with Aaron, Mays, Ruth, and I don't even know who. Oh, and Williams.
Yeah.
So those four.
So Chuck's list is Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Ted Williams, and Hank Aaron. Soka, you're on the clock. For those who don't know, that's Greg. Sorry.
Unlike Chuck, I have no dead ball era guys on my list, and here's why. Because I won't put anybody on who played when baseball was still segregated, number one. Number two, as great as Ruth was back then, I personally think his swing stinks, and I think that he would be absolutely owned by today's pitching. It's very hard to hit multiple guys throwing 95 plus, as opposed to just seeing one or two arms every day. Makes for a very different game. So yeah, I'm in the minority where that is concerned in terms of Ruth. So he's definitely not going to be on my list. But my list consists of my favorite player of all time, Ken Griffey Jr. And you have Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and I'm going to round it out with Barry Bonds. I personally think Bonds is arguably one of the best hitters of all time. I would say top three in my opinion. And I also want to just say that Roberto Clemente, if he didn't pass away, his numbers would be even better than what they are, his career numbers.
Okay, so Greg goes with Ken Griffey, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, and Barry Bonds. TK, you're on the clock.
All right. So my list here, I do have some guys from the dead ball era, and I have some guys from later. But my picks, I would say number 4, I'm going to put Ty Cobb on the list. Now, Ty Cobb played baseball 100 years ago or so, but if you look at his stats, 1,100 at-bats, 366 career batting average. I mean, the man hit 1,900 plus RBIs and almost 900 steals. And he could field his position. Ty Cobb, not really known to be a nice guy, but he still makes my list at number 4 for what he was able to do hitting. Next up, I do have Willie Mays. That's the reason I'm a Mets fan. My grandfather's a big Willie Mays fan. Followed him to the Giants, then to the Mets, and then said, all right, I'll be a Mets fan. 660 home runs, 302 batting average. I mean, just the smoothest hands you've ever seen in the outfields. His famous catch over the shoulders, absolutely phenomenal. And he was a Met, so I had to get a Met in there somehow. Then I'll have Barry Bonds at number 2. And the reason Barry Bonds is at number 2 is because of, when you say Barry Bonds, you're always going to have steroids come in the conversation. But even without steroids, even if you look at the change, he still had 3 MVPs before that, and he's still a Hall of Famer regardless. With or without steroids, Barry Bonds needs to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be on this Mount Rushmore. I've never seen a guy with my own eyes with a sweeter, more beautiful swing than Barry Bonds. He made it look easy. Pitchers were terrified of him. He walked more than anybody. And, I mean, he's hit the most home runs in history. How could you not have this man on the list? But number 1, when you think baseball, there's one guy that is the guy of baseball, baseball's past at least, and that's Babe Ruth. I mean, the Bambino, 714 home runs. That record took for so long. A New York Yankee to boot, really set the mythos and the aura of the Yankees. His trade caused a curse for Boston for years and years and years. There's just so much mythos and just so much just bigger and above and beyond than just regular normal life with Babe Ruth. So he has to go number 1 here on my Mount Rushmore list.
All right, so we have Ty Cobb, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and Babe Ruth. Steph, is there anyone that stood out to you that doesn't belong that you'd say that you had a problem with out of everyone on the panel?
So I just want to say, not only Greg, but myself, and I will say Adam Ottavino would also say that Babe Ruth is overrated. But I would have to say Babe Ruth out of all of them. I just think, besides the fact that you have a segregated baseball, he was talented, but it's like being the best little leaguer. Like, there are a lot of bad players, and then there's like Babe Ruth, and I'm not saying he's awful by no means, but the numbers that he put up or against pitchers especially that weren't really throwing much. So the competition necessarily wasn't on par. I think if Babe Ruth is playing with players that he's on par with, maybe he's not the same player we see today. So I do think there's a little bit of overrated to Babe Ruth, and I know that everyone in baseball will jump on you when you go after Babe Ruth. But I'm going to do that here because I like all the other names. You know, I don't have a problem necessarily. I mean, Ty Cobb, but I'm going to focus on Babe Ruth because he is the guy, and I don't really think that he needs to be the guy.
All right. Well, the guys who put Babe Ruth, TK and Chuck, what do you guys think of his assessment?
I mean, they're definitely correct in their take. You know, Babe Ruth played at a time where you had your mailman as your number 3 pitcher. But I think that Babe Ruth has had such a big impact on the game. It's kind of, at fault to leave him off, a Mount Rushmore because of, as Tom said, his trade was so famous because of what it did for the Yankees, and it really jump-started the Yankees to what they are today. It led the curse on Boston. It began real home run hitters to what we see today, where your average everyday players could hit 20 home runs like nothing. So I think because of the way the game is now and what Ruth did back then, I think that's why you need to include him. But like I said, if he's off the list, he's off the list. There have been plenty of guys, and I even told you guys, you're taking 3 positions, and you're going from when Ruth played all the way to now Trout. Can Mike Trout make the list? You certainly can make a case. Like, there's so many guys that you could leave off and you feel bad about. Like, I had to leave off Mantle. I had to leave off DiMaggio, who lost 3 years of his prime to go fight in the war. It's just crazy how many good outfielders that have been over the course of Major League history, compared to other positions. And I mean, am I going to be upset if Ruth doesn't make the Mount Rushmore? No, certainly not, because I know that there are other players that are certainly credible enough to make the Mount Rushmore.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also when
No, go ahead, TK.
Okay, just to add on, also when you're looking at Mount Rushmore, you think of our actual Mount Rushmore has George Washington. He was the first president. That job was much different then. That job was a much easier job. So even if Babe Ruth wasn't facing the same competition he would be facing today, he still had a home run record of 61 in one season and 714 for a career. I mean, those records weren't broken until the 1960s and 1970s, and he retired in the 30s. So he held those for so many years, and he was the guy for 50 plus years in the formative part of baseball's early history. I mean, he was the guy before almost countless others. I don't know if they were even having World Series when he started. No, they weren't. They definitely were. Sorry. I was getting over the But I mean, he's still the guy. I mean, he's Babe Ruth. So I have to put him on there on the Mount Rushmore when you're thinking of who was the first baseball superstar and he was in the outfield. Had to go with Babe Ruth. But it was extremely tough.
I think Chuck and Tom didn't want the hit list backlash of leaving a great player off their list like we had in the NFL one. So I think they might have went with the safe pick. Is that fair to say, guys?
Yeah, I would say it's a safe pick. For sure.
I mean, yes, it is a safe pick. But Carl, I had 10 guys to choose from. I was going crazy with myself.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, I had to keep telling myself not to pick Vlad Guerrero just because I like Vlad Guerrero. But I was like, they're going to kill me if I pick Vlad Guerrero. I'll pick Babe Ruth.
What I'll say about Babe Ruth is a guy that can smoke a cigar while he's playing is not going against great competition.
85 hot dogs and a gallon of beer.
Michael Jordan, Doc, he was out there, smoking and drinking beers.
Oh, not on the court. What I'm saying is Babe Ruth walk up to the little puff, point the bat.
All right,
so competition maybe.
So Greg, since baseball is your thing and you were advocate, I'm gonna give you the first pick on episode 1. Who's making your list?
So, everybody knows Ken Griffey is my guy, right? Favorite play of all time, played center field because of him, all that. but I'm going to have to go with the 7-time MVP and Barry Bonds.
Ooh, wow.
Barry Bonds couldn't make the Hall of Fame, but he made your Mount Rushmore.
You
Wow.
know he belonged in the Hall. Let's not do that. Don't be that
Okay.
guy.
TK, you're on the clock. Who makes the list for you?
All right, so I'm going to pick. I'll pick Willie Mays, the New York Met. Put him right in the Mount Rushmore where he belongs.
I like it, TK.
Steph, you're on the clock. Who makes your list?
Let's go, rookie.
Oh wow, pressure now. I feel like there's a safe pick here because Ken Griffey's just sitting out there. Right? But I'm pretty sure that I can rely on Chuck to handle that. That's a lot of pressure on you potentially, Chuck. But I'm gonna go with Ichiro. I am so
Ichiro.
Yes.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, now Chuck, you get the final pick. Who's on your list for the last
Well,
pick?
I'm sorry to say that I don't think I could pick Junior because he wasn't on my Mount Rushmore, right?
Ken
So you put
Griffey.
Ichiro over Ken Griffey Jr.?
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Go ahead, Chuck. Who you got?
I mean, I don't even know.
7-14, Chuck. Don't betray your fan base.
I think I gotta go with the safe pick. I don't want to hear any backlash from Travis or anybody. I guess I gotta pick Babe Ruth. I mean, when I first started playing baseball, it was Babe Ruth. That was like the first guy that
Okay.
I knew about. So that's my pick, Babe Ruth.
Okay, so we have Ichiro, Willie
Oh my
Mays,
God.
Barry Bonds, or Babe Ruth. Are we satisfied with this list?
Steph, I
No.
just want you to know, if this list holds, it is your fault that Ken Griffey is not who this
So
is.
again,
You're right.
Steph,
You're right.
Steph, so what happens is the person gets to pick from their own list, not from all of the list. So Chuck couldn't pick
Gotcha.
Ken Griffey because Ken Griffey wasn't on his list. So again, I'm asking, if we're not satisfied, we can make changes, but it's up to that person to make a change.
Steph, you got to state your case for Ichiro to be on the overall Mount Rushmore.
I will state my case, and a lot of it is centered in what I said to begin with, right? Most of these guys we're talking about that are on your Mount Rushmore or just the top guys in the league started at 20 or 19, right? Where they're in their prime, like, just getting to know baseball. He was in Japan. He wasn't allowed to come here. 27, he started, right? 27. He has 13 seasons of production. So you're telling me at 27, he was now going, I'm 37, 40, he's still producing, right? Putting up ridiculous numbers. So it's 10 seasons of 200 plus hits, right? There's 7 of those seasons that he led the league in hits, okay? And at 27, still led the league that first year, 56 stolen bases. He went on to have, 13 seasons where he had more than 30 stolen bases, So again, he's in his 40s, putting up numbers like getting stolen bases, getting the hits. He didn't have the RBIs or the home runs, which is what we mostly focus on when we talk about production, right? But as defensively, you're talking about a guy that had 10 gold gloves, right? So when he comes in 2001 to 2010, he has gold gloves, all right? We all know the highlight reels of the throws. Like he was a productive member in the MLB, but again, 7 years later than anyone else. So if you could imagine what his career would be if all 7 of those years were in the MLB, obviously they're not. And this is a man that has over 3,000 hits on top of that, which we all know is a marker, a milestone for MLB players. Ichiro is very underrated.
So
Because
you take Ichiro over Ken Griffey Jr.?
don't do that to me.
Starting team, take Ichiro over Ken Griffey Jr.
That's what he did. That's what, again, are we satisfied with leaving Ken Griffey Jr.? Are we satisfied with leaving Ken Griffey Jr. off the Mount Rushmore list?
I will say this. If I wasn't the linchpin and there was already Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro should be on it. All right? Like, I can't do that to Ken Griffey Jr. I just can't. I can't. Not that he's
Thank God.
maybe he doesn't. Maybe he watches this. I wouldn't want that kind of bad blood, knowing that Ken Griffey Jr., the dude that made baseball cool, right, that made kids want to play, not be in this Mount Rushmore. And I'm upset at Greg for putting the Barry Bonds that can't be in the Hall of Fame, but has to be in Mount Rushmore. Couldn't be Ken Griffey Jr.
But again, you know what? Before Greg kind of threw a swerve with his first pick. I thought he was going to go Ken Griffey for sure. That's what I thought. I did. I honestly thought Greg was going to go Ken Griffey.
That.
Yeah, right.
I thought he was too. I was going to pick Barry Bonds, and then I was like, oh, who am I going to pick now?
See, look what you did. You started it. Because if you did between your Barry Bonds, Ichiro was sliding in there easy.
He's a 7-time MVP. That cannot be ignored. Whether or not we know the Baseball Hall of Fame is on some BS.
Both home run records.
What'd you say?
Okay.
Barry Bonds, he has both home run records. He's got to be in there.
He has several records.
No matter how tainted.
Okay, so Steph, you're crossing off Ichiro for Ken Griffey. Official or no?
It is with a heavy heart that I need to remove Ichiro because they probably already started chiseling his face in because they knew he could have been locked. I have to remove Ichiro to put in Ken Griffey Jr. I can't do that to Ken Griffey Jr.
You are a gentleman and a scholar, sir.
Okay, so now
we have despicable. That's what you are.
So now we have Ken Griffey, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and Babe Ruth. Is the panel satisfied with this list?
Yes.
I mean, I don't like the Babe Ruth pick, but I understand it. So yeah, I'm satisfied.
Same.
So we're
real
satisfied.
Quick, though.
Yes.
Can the rookie ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Does anybody disagree with what I said about Ichiro though? Like, is there?
Oh no, I don't.
No, I don't agree. I don't disagree. I think Ichiro had an amazing career. He's the Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right. So again, to round out the list, we have Ken Griffey, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, and Babe Ruth. This was fun, guys. Thank you so much. This was excellent. I thought for a second Ken Griffey was going to be left off, and it could have been one of the brothers to leave him off. It was one of you guys that was going to be responsible for that. It wasn't going to be me. Again, thank you guys for joining me on the Sports Hit List by the fans, for the fans. Please make sure you check out. This is a 9-part series. Next week, we'll have another Mount Rushmore. I have to check my list. I don't know what's coming next. I know these guys will see them along the way, whether it's in episode 3, 5, or 9. It's a long journey to 9. I think it leads us way into September or October. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the Sports Hit List by the fans, for the fans. Make sure you check us out on Wednesdays on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network live at 4 o'clock. Take care.